All right, here we go. To watch this video for Friday, June 14th, showing you a daily chart of the SPY. Look at the SPY here. This is the daily candle. That doesn't even look like a candle, right? It looks like a little paint splatter or something. So very narrow range on the day. Compare that range to almost anything recently, and very, very low volume on the day. And it traded like it. I was already behind on sleep, and it was really tough to even keep my eyes open today. But that's the nature of day trading, and a lot of people don't realize is not every day is hyperactive trading. Sometimes you're waiting for hours and there's just nothing moving. So recognizing that is pretty important. You know, recognizing that early. PRVB just goes back on bounce watch. You had this crazy big day here, a lower high the next day, and the next day, and then today kind of an inside day, inside of yesterday's range, and another lower high. I want to watch that one. RH, Restoration Hardware, gapped up to resistance, made a little dart up toward the 200-day, and then kind of a nasty reversal. But they did have good earnings. I think they beat on earnings and revenue expectations or whatever. So I definitely think, for the next several days, I want to watch this for a low-risk intraday bounce play setup for a turn back up. MNST, but basically 4 days in a row, pretty close to the 50-day. That's the 60 EMA. The actual 50 is slightly below that. But it's also, see, it closed at 60-60. Let me mute that. Closed at 60-60. So you're very close to it. Kind of, if it gets down to 60, maybe flushes that, you kind of have a gap fill right there. So it's way ahead of itself in the short term. You don't see too many candles this big on MNST. And it was after a few days down already. So pretty decent daily chart setup for a snapback bounce tomorrow. We'll see, right? Only with the proper setup. CODA, nice break today to the upside and closed pretty strong. So I want to watch that for a follow today. Pretty low float in that one, I believe. RUHN, nice volume today. Relatively recent IPO. Closing well off its highs, though. This one did get all the way to 455 before closing right at 401. Definitely worth watching for red to green tomorrow. NAVB, at first glance, I was thinking to myself, Mike, why the heck is this on your chart? But in after hours, I knew there was a reason. It's trading at 230. And actually, the last time I looked at it, it was trading at $1.80. So I could have had 50 cents after hours already. Anyway, huge move going on in after hours. So we'll see if it gives us any kind of gap play setup tomorrow. Let's see, that's NAVB. NBY. Just an inside day, inside of yesterday's range after this crazy 2-day move. Huge up day, then a gap up and a huge down day. But a couple green days where 2 days in a row is closed above its open. And you switch to 15-minute candles. You can kind of picture a little trend line right there. Follow my mouse cursor. So up in this area, this one might be ready to head higher again. ENT, I've been watching this one. I don't love it. Look, I mean, 585,000 on a 67-cent stock. To me, that says, hey, Mike, nobody's watching this. So I don't love it, but it is. I'll show you what it's done the last couple of days. You get these, let me see. Maybe this isn't a good way to show it. Yeah, you get these big volume spikes, then it moves up like a nickel and back down. And there's kind of a big one there. It's kind of a big one this afternoon, but overall, probably my least favorite. I don't expect much out of this thing. It's not a real pretty chart. I think it's more the nature of I saw it the other day, and so now I just keep putting it on watch unless and until it proves that it's not worth having on a chart, which you could maybe argue that it did that today. LJPC, I think I already, no, maybe I didn't. LJPC had this big 2-day run, few days pullback right there to the 8-day, and today topped out a little bit over 10. I had a couple trades in this one today. Like, I don't think I gave any official calls. Maybe I gave one, but it's a decent little turn today after this massive volume move. And this is kind of what told me the market's pretty dead, because this is a pretty clean setup, right? This huge volume 2-day move, 3-day pullback on much lower volume, and I'll switch to 5-minute candles. And then it opens here, puts in a fairly narrow range. Generally, with that setup I just showed you, this high of day break right here would have really ripped it. And some volume came in. I mean, biggest volume stick of the day, but still just no follow through at all. And then a slow grind higher. So it just kind of shows you there's no I don't know, big rush, big flood of buyers right now in any of these names, but that could change on any given day. You never know. And then lastly, I've got ECOR, which had this spike here the other day that topped out at 238, came right back down, and then right back up again. It's worth noting this thing, none of these days were even 1 million shares. I don't know, I stumbled across this doing my scans today, but I don't recall ever having traded this, so I don't know how it trades or anything. But 173 to 220 was the range. So that's not bad on a stock, this price. So we'll keep our eyes on that one as well. Hopefully we find a couple nice gappers to play tomorrow as well. I feel like I'm leaving one out. Hang on a second. I meant to have, I don't know how I avoided that. I meant to have CTRV on watch. I'll add that to my list here in a second. CTRV got an afternoon spike. You can see it right there. It got this popped and it halted, came out of the halt and went all the way to 1150 before kind of rolling over a little bit. It is, however, trading at like 9:05 and after hours, so it's not like there's a rush of people coming in to play it in after hours. But after this gap up, and keep in mind, this candle was huge. It went from a low of, or a high of 1575 all the way down to 701. That's like an $8 candle. A little more than that actually, and then it started to turn back up. This candle was 750 to 1465. Wow. So I mean, these are huge range. Then a quiet day yesterday, and then again this pop again today. So it seems to be putting in higher lows, and certainly over today's high over 1150. This one might get going. So I do want to watch it, and it may just open at $8 tomorrow. We won't even look at it. So I'm going to add that to the list. And then, like I said, hopefully we'll find some gappers. I'm done babbling. We'll see y'all in chat tomorrow.